We are from the Connect Fund. I'm Jessica Brown. I'm the Connect Fund manager.
And I'm Liz Hayes. I'm the assistant manager for the Connect Fund.
And the purpose of our webinar today is to introduce you to our new funding strategy. So we're going to give you a little bit of an update on where we are with the Connect Fund, and we're going to tell you our plans going forward and how we'll be thinking about the different funding parts and our funding strategy for the foreseeable future. So what I want to do first is to give you a bit of an update on where we are with the Connect Fund. The Connect Fund is a partnership. The Barrow Cadbury Trust manages the Connect Fund in partnership with Access, the Foundation for Social Investment. The Connect Fund was launched in June 2017, and it was an initial part of £3 million that's focused on helping to build a better social investment market. And the way that we do that is we've supported both voluntary sector infrastructure organizations and also social investment intermediaries, so those actors like fund managers or advisors in the market. And we've worked to give them funding to support initiatives that are about collaborating to solve gaps in the market. And as you can see in this first slide, what that translates into is that we've made 50 grants and 1 investment for just a little over £2 million to date. When we did a series of open calls for projects and ideas from the sector, what came back was a series of initiatives that we supported. And those 51 initiatives are roughly grouped into 8 different thematic areas, whether focusing on capacity building, on market information, on diversity, or on networks. You can see those 8 key thematic areas on this slide. The way that the funding breaks down thematically is represented here. So you can see that we've made approximately 35% of our grants to capacity building initiatives. And by that, we mean helping to support new ways that enterprise development, one-on-one or peer learning support could be tested in the market. And we've tried to support collaborative initiatives, often that we're working in multiple locations or with different actors. Similarly, here we've supported about 16.5% of our grants have gone to diversity initiatives to bring new voices into the market or to look at how the market could be better at engaging with diverse audiences. We've given 17% of our grants to networks that are sort of key infrastructure organizations helping to organize the social investment market in England. And we've also given to date only 7% of our grants to business development. On a regional basis, we've tried to achieve some diversification. So you can see here that we've got projects across all 9 of the regions, and that was something that we wanted to make sure that we achieved. So while 25 of our grants are England-wide, that means they may have an organization that's based in London, but it's working on a project or initiative that's engaging multiple regions, or in fact is working nationwide across England. So what we're working towards are these clusters of various organizations working collaboratively across each of the 9 regions and creating sort of new networks, engaging collaboratively to solve problems or challenges that they identified across each of the 8 themes. What we've also done is to try to build a learning community. And what we mean by that is our cohort of grantees, but also wider stakeholders that are active in the social investment market in England. We've done that online through things like a Trello board or webinars, or also through use of group spaces and regular newsletters and information sessions. But we've also done that through face-to-face convening. And we had a big grantee learning event in October. And we also recently hosted the steering group for The Gathering, which was a conference that brought together over 160 active social investors in the market that took place in Leicester. And as a result of this, we've gathered a lot of critical insight and feedback, as well as thinking around, what next? What are the missing gaps in the infrastructure of the market? And we've used that feedback and thinking to help inform our funding strategy and where we go next. So effectively, where we see ourselves is having gone through a bit of a design process where we started out here in June 2017. We had several open calls for crowdsourcing of ideas, sector-based initiatives, and gaps in the market. And we then made a series of grants, as we described, and we're now at the point where we've gathered that feedback and critical input, and we're at this point here where we're trying to be more targeted and more effective in the way that we think about how our funding will be used going forward and how we can catalyze collaboration as well as new ideas in the market. So with that, I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Liz Hayes, who's going to introduce our funding pilot and our funding approach going forward. And she's also going to talk more about the Building Infrastructure Fund.
So from all the learning that we've had so far from the Connect Fund projects that have been going on over the last couple of years, we have looked at where we feel the Connect Fund needs to go next, with our final kind of part of just under £1 million from the original 3 million from Access. So we're going to continue to support the building infrastructure element of the market with the Building Infrastructure Fund. So that will be supporting those voluntary sector infrastructure organisations, so Council for Voluntary Services, for example, and social enterprise networks to continue their capacity building and skill development work that they've been working on. So initially, this will be open to existing grantees only, and they'll anyone who's kind of finished their project or is about to finish their project in the next few months will be able to apply to us for £30,000 to develop their project a bit further and take it to the next stage. And we've got some key things that we really want to focus on through the Building Infrastructure Fund. So some of our focus areas are particularly around sustainability. So we really want to make sure that the learning from the original projects is built upon and developed further, and it's not just kind of a repetition of what's already happened. And it really has got to address those kind of gaps in the market. Another priority for us is collaborative and partnership working. So that was something that we really emphasised in the first couple of rounds of the Connect Fund, and it's something we continue to support because we can see the benefits from that from our current grantees who are working collaboratively on various projects. We're also looking particularly around how it fits with the broader social investment market. So we will be thinking about Access as priorities as one of our partners, and how we can look at kind of engagement with social investors going forward. So this gives a breakdown of how the Building Infrastructure Fund is kind of structured at the moment. So until September, it's open to existing grantees, and they can apply for 30k to continue the work that they've already kind of been developing through the Connect Fund and building on that to kind of create a better sustainable model of support. And then from September onwards, we will open it up to new applicants. But obviously it's quite a limited pot at the moment, so we really do need you to emphasise in your projects those kind of key focus areas of collaboration and partnership, a link to active social investors, and sustainability of the model that you're working around. So to give you an overview of the application process on this slide, we really do encourage people, if they've got ideas that they want to kind of discuss with us or preview with us before filling in the expression of interest form, we welcome you to email us or give us a phone call, and we can talk through what the proposition is and really kind of develop an idea with you, particularly for existing grantees as well, looking at what those next steps are to build on the work you've already done. So to give an example of a particularly successful collaboration partnership project that we supported through the early round of the Connect Fund, POP in Plymouth, Torbay Community Development Trust and CoLab Exeter all worked very closely to develop their proposal together. So all three organisations received grants from the Connect Fund to work on a joint project called Social Investment Marketplace Links. Or SIMPLE, as it's become known. And their projects are all around engaging investors, engaging voluntary sector organisations and social enterprises, and also engaging commissioners in the area. And so they've worked really collaboratively as well with other kind of local actors. So they've been working with Southwest Academic Health Science Network on some of the research around the project. They're working very closely with Plymouth and Torbay Council, and they've got various actors from local social enterprise networks on their advisory board, and they're kind of really working well with also Devon Community Foundation and Resonance to kind of develop that project further.
Okay, so I am now going to talk you through our second part of funding, which is called the Enterprising Ideas Fund. This is a new concept that we are going to pilot. It builds on the first investment that we've made to date, which I'll talk a bit more about at the end to give you a case study of the type of investments that we've made. So the objective of this new Enterprising Ideas Fund is to provide flexible finance to try to pilot new initiatives or new ideas in the market, in the social investment market in England. And we're particularly hoping to support social investment intermediaries that are already active, or it could be other organizations, social enterprises, advisors, or fund managers that have identified a gap in the market or want to bring a new service to the market to address a gap that they think is there. And the way that we will do that is that we will test using a small feasibility grants, and then we'll look to provide flexible finance to support that. So who is this for? This is for social investment intermediaries in England, and it's for organizations that want to solve a problem that they've identified in the market. So they need to be able to evidence that there's demand, or at least have a way that they can demonstrate that this is a gap in the market, and in particular that this idea or service or product that they're going to provide will generate revenue and look to become sustainable or become a sort of mission-driven business or revenue stream in its own right. There needs to be a degree of track record there, a kind of clear, either with the individuals, the founders, or within the social organization. If it's an organization that's already been set up and established, that they've got a proven track record where they can show that they have the expertise, and the ability to execute on this idea. And finally, obviously, we need to see that there's going to be social impact, and that impact is embedded in the organization. Whatever the legal structure is, we need to see that there's clear evidence in the Articles of Association that social impact and that mission is embedded there. The way that it will work will be to provide patient risk finance for business development. Initially, that could be small feasibility grants of up to 10K to help develop a business plan, to demonstrate that there is in fact a demand in the market, to engage with other stakeholders, and perhaps even a small sort of test or piloting of that idea to show that there actually is a demand there that could lead to a viable business. And we'd then like to see out of that a very good, well-defined business plan with business projections and a sense of what the market potential is. And out of those feasibility grants, we would then like to see maybe 5, perhaps 6 in this first initial pilot that could move on to an investment. And what would that investment look like? As I've said, we want it to be patient and flexible. So in effect, we will work with the organization to define what that flexible finance looks like. But an example is, for example, a zero interest loan facility that might be partially matched, that could be repayable on the success of the initiative, or it could be a convertible zero interest loan that converts to equity or perhaps is repaid under certain circumstances, or it could be equity if the legal structure is appropriate to take on that type of finance. So here we've mapped out the decision-making process. In effect, what we want to do is to work to tailor the finance to the organization. The way that we'll do that is by having an initial phone call conversation to determine what the expression of interest is. We'll then carry out a phone or face-to-face assessment with you, which would lead to an online application in the first instance for the feasibility grant. And then subsequently, obviously, we will then do the full due diligence, the face-to-face assessment. Subsequently, we would take that to an investment management committee decision. And as I've said, we would initially look to make between 10 to 12 small feasibility grants, and we're looking for perhaps 5, maybe 6 of those to go on to this type of 50K investment, early stage seed capital investment. I wanted to give you a case study of the first social investment that we've made along these lines, which is into Singlify. Singlify is a new company limited by shares that was set up as a mission-driven organization, mission-driven business that was set up as a result of the feasibility study that was carried out at Homeless Link. Singlify identified a gap in the market for management information software that could help social investment intermediaries to manage their portfolios. And they then developed on the Salesforce platform a bespoke solution, software solution. It's effectively a software as a service model to meet the needs of social investment intermediaries. And they worked to develop that on the Salesforce platform. After we gave them the first small grant to test the market and to develop the business plan, they then came back to us and we made the first £50,000 investment structured as a convertible loan that has the option to convert to equity or to be repaid under certain circumstances. And subsequently, they've done very well and they've been accepted into the Salesforce Accelerator as well as into the NatWest Accelerator. And they're now signing up their first clients as a result of this funding, which allowed them to do product development and some small amount of marketing as well. So we hope that that presents to you an outline of our new funding strategy. If you have further questions, which no doubt you would in respect to your particular project, then please schedule a time to speak to us. You can do that by contacting Alex Fadilia, our program officer, whose email is here on the slide. Or you can obviously have a look at our website as well, where we'll be posting more information about the funding guidelines and more of the detail that you might need in order to make the decision about whether or not this is right for you. But we would encourage you to have a conversation with us, whether it's in respect to the Building Infrastructure Fund with Liz or the Enterprising Ideas Fund with myself. So thank you very much for your time and watching this today.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.